Hi everyone, this is Rion Paper. Welcome to another video. It is time for my April currently inked fountain pens. I currently have 8 fountain pens inked up. I kind of let go at the beginning of this year of doing a curated monthly selection of pens and inks. Previously, I liked doing something around a theme or just things that I thought fit the kind of the season well. And while I do still enjoy that, I just wanted to try and let go of that a little bit and just ink pens whenever I feel like inking a pen or whenever a pen runs out, or just, you know, stay with my pens a little bit longer if they haven't run out of ink, if maybe in a certain month I haven't written as much, and then I just ink something whenever. And at this point, I kind of have 8 pens inked up, and I thought it would be nice to do kind of a check-in of what I'm currently writing with. But I don't think I'll be doing a monthly currently inked video if, for example, at the beginning of May, I still have most of these inked up and maybe just 1 or 2 new pens and inks inked up. But we're just gonna see. We're just gonna see how it goes and yeah, have fun with it. So the first pen and ink is my recent Benu that I unboxed in my last video. This is the Benu Tribute to Parajanov, and it has a 1.1 stub nib. No, that's not true. It has a flex nib, a fine flex nib, which is also what I wrote this header with, but I didn't really press hard, so it's not flexing. And I have this inked up with G. Rouge Grenat. And this is not really a pen that I can write well with in this very small 3.7 millimeter grid. If I'm writing with this, I will usually write a little bit bigger, such as this header, or I just use it on blank paper that does not have a grid. I have been loving using this pen for just any quick note. I usually have a lot of scrap paper on my desk, just, you know, for example, if I get like some kind of letter confirming an appointment or something, or just random stuff, I will usually use the back of that just to write down like a grocery list or just a quick mind map of something that I'm trying to figure out, or anything at all, really. And I have been really loving using this pen for that because it is such a smooth writer, but it's the nib is too big for my daily journaling, so I've been really trying to find excuses to use this one. So that is the Benu Tribute to Parajanov with the Fine Flex nib and G. Rouge Grenat. Then we go from a pretty broad nib, well, I mean, it's a fine, but it writes pretty broadly, I think, to a very fine nib. This is the Asvine P50 in Cherry Blossom Pink, inked with another Gerber ink, namely Corail des Tropiques, or Tropical Coral. And the ink is not a really great match visually with the pen. I actually thought it would be a lot more pink, but it's more corally orange. But the writing combination is really, really great. It's lovely. And this nib it's very fine, but it's not scratchy at all. And I've been loving journaling with this. Another thing I love about this nib is the amount of feedback that it gives. It is not scratchy at all. It's actually a really smooth nib, but it's not buttery or like skating across the page. It actually gives this really nice. It's not as much feedback as a Sailor nib, but it does definitely lean toward that feel of a pencil on paper. Then we have a pen and ink combination that has been both very lovely to write with, but also a little bit frustrating. This is the Leonardo Momento Zero in Jade with the gold trim. This is actually my only Leonardo that has a gold colored trim, and I just thought that it worked really well with these greens. I inked this up with an ink that kind of matches the most yellow part of the pen, and that is Robert Oster Australis T. And the nib of this pen writes fantastically. So it's been really great picking this pen up and writing with it. But the ink is, I don't know. This is also a light ink, the Corail des Tropiques, but I can read this very well. But somehow with this greenish yellow or yellowish green, I find it much harder to read. And maybe it's also because it has like a really, really big amount of shading. But this has not been a great pen to journal with late at night when you have like bad artificial light. I mean, it's doable right now, but I'm also very close to a window with like very good bright daylight. Overall, not the best match. I thought in my swatch the ink is a lot greener than when I'm writing with it now. So loving the pen, not 100% loving the ink. So definitely excited to ink this up with something else when I finish this sample. Then we have probably my favorite pen and ink combination of the month. This has been such a fantastic discovery. This is my Loft pens in the jewel tone stripe colorway. The model is called the Winchester. This is a great pen. I love it. It's in my head. It's kind of my pride pen because of the rainbow colorway. I previously inked this up with a sort of maroon ink. I was going for something like Bordeaux, wine, red. But in writing, it turned out to be very brown, very dull, and it just didn't match the punch that this colorful pen brings. And I just didn't love writing with it. But now I've inked it with something much more colorful, which is Robert Oster Tulip Fields, which is an Old Dutch Pen Show exclusive. It's a green with gold shimmer. It's very spring-like. And yeah, it has been great. The shimmer is not super consistent, but I don't really mind because I love the base color of the ink. So the shimmer is just an added bonus whenever it appears. And if it disappears for a bit, then that's fine because then we get to see more of the green. I'm not seeing a lot of gold shimmer so far. I'm afraid that maybe I didn't agitate the shimmer enough. It may also be that I've just written with this so much over the past couple of days that I'm kind of used up all the shimmer in the sample. I'm not sure, but loving this combination. It's also like April and May are months where I crave like green. like both in the, like outside when finally like all of the plants are turning green again, but also just in my planner, like these three inks, this corally pink that somehow looks more pink in here on this Autumnary River paper than it does on some of my other papers. It may also be just because of the light. I think this is one of those colors that really appears a lot more warm, a lot more orange in yellow light. I'm not sure, but it's nice anyway. I may have forgotten to mention what kind of nib size I've used, but everything is extra fine. Except for the very first pen. Everything that I've written down is extra fine, and everything that is to come is extra fine. It's just who I am. Then we have my Narwhal Horizon in the Glacier colorway. I have put an Asvine P80, I think, nib on here. Was it the 80? Oh, I'm not sure. I will put it in the description. It does not have the Narwhal nib on here, but I've been loving this nib. It's really great. The ink that I put in here is Ferris Wheel Press Dusk in Bloom, which is a lovely color, but it's a little dry and a little watery, and it hasn't been the best writing experience. But it's a nice color, and I definitely don't need a bottle when my sample runs out. One thing I've noted with this ink, and maybe it's because of the pen, but the ink evaporates just a little bit in the pen, and it doesn't really get that much darker, but it does start to write better. When I first inked this up, it was very, very thin, very watery, which now that I think about it, it could have been just something from inside the pen, but I hadn't used it before. So it's not like I cleaned it and there was still some water left. That can't have been it. But it was very, it didn't really feather, but the letters did get like a little bit broader once the ink started to seep into the paper. And it does that less now that I've had this inked up for a while. So that's kind of something interesting that I've noted. Then we have another fantastic combination. I just inked this a couple of days ago. I had it inked up with Diamine Amaranth, which was fantastic. It matches this sort of reddish, purple, pink kind of color. I forgot what you call this color, but whatever. It matches these parts of the resin so well. But I completely wrote it dry, so I cleaned it and I wanted to ink it up again immediately. And I picked a very kind of standard blue that kind of matches these blue veins in the Cracked Ice resin. But I love this ink because it is scented with the scent of hyacinths, which are probably my favorite spring bulbs. And this is Diatramentis Hyacinth, which is a very well-behaved ink. It's a little wet, but it's not like completely out of control like some other scented inks. And it just smells so good. I have a full bottle of this and I do not regret that at all. I'm only now seeing that I've kind of not written this straight at all. I am, over the course of writing down 6 pen names, I've gone over 2 grids to the right. And I don't know if I've even mentioned the name of this pen. This is the Esterbrook ST in Botanical Garden. Then with this pen that I picked up from AliExpress, it was really hard to track down the brand of the pen, and I believe it is Hu Xiao Shen, but I'm not completely sure. The colorway is called Coffee, and I've inked it up with Ferris Wheel Press Russet Typecase. And this pen has been actually really good for a very, very affordable pen. The writing experience has been great. The cap seals really well. It has this sort of spring-loaded inner cap, which is not really unlike the Esterbrook ST, but it's not something I think you really see on a $15 pen. I don't find the pen super comfortable. It is a little bit too thin for me, the grip section. I do like a thinner grip section, a bit of a more narrow grip section, because when the grip section is very, very thick, I get a kind of a cramped wrist. I don't know really why. Maybe I just grip it too hard. But this one is a little bit too narrow. But for short writing sessions, it has been really, really pleasant. The nib is great. It has a Jinhao nib. I do not dislike Jinhao nibs. They're not up there in terms of their writing pleasure, but they're definitely decent. You kind of have to get a little bit lucky with how smooth it is or how scratchy it is. But this one is great. Yeah, so the Hu Xiao Shen in the coffee colorway. I have no idea what the model is called. And then the last pen and ink combination is this Lamy Lux in the Marron color, inked with Diatramentis wood. And this has been both really great and a little bit disappointing. I was afraid that this pen is quite a wet writing pen, and I was afraid that the ink, being a scented ink, was going to be also wet, and that it was just going to be too wet of a writing experience overall. That is not the case. This combination writes really, really well. But where the disappointment comes in, once you uncap the Esterbrook ST, the hyacinth scent just immediately fills your nostrils. With this pen, I don't smell the ink at all. When I open this bottle of ink, it the entire room suddenly smells like a hardware store, because the wood scent is really, really strong, and it has a really pleasant smell. And that is kind of what I was hoping whenever I uncap this pen, but it just feels like when there's maybe not enough ink, the smell is just it's not even noticeable, really. So a little bit disappointing on that side, but other than that, it's a great writer. And it's a very reddish brown. Yeah, even when I put the nib basically to my nose, I just don't smell anything at all. So these are the 8 pens that I have inked up for April, or not necessarily for April, it is just what is currently inked. And overall, really, really happy with this, both in terms of the color palette, which was not curated at all. It's just been the colors that I've been wanting to write with. And over time, I did not ink these up at the same time. I think I inked the first one up like this is the glacier is still a carryover from the end of February. And I inked up the botanical garden just 2 days ago. So everything was inked in between that period. And over time, just picking colors that I wanted to use, I ended up with a kind of a rainbow, which is great because now I kind of whatever decoration I put down in my journal and planners, I always have something that kind of matches. And most of these have been really good writers. Some of them a little bit more, depending on the situation, like the Leonardo that is only really legible when I have really good lighting, and the Bennu that has just a very wet and broad way of writing, so it's not really great for daily journaling. But other than that, I've been using these pens from everything from daily journaling, from planning to grocery lists and quick notes. So I'm really having fun with these. So I hope you like this video. I hope whatever you have inked up for this month has been fun, has been working well, and see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.